not only hope. If you really want to pay attention, you're going to see. If you get a chance, you go to a website called hope.com. I'm not kidding you. Go to hope.com. And I was shocked to see it today as well. This was a website put up by Michael Saylor himself to promote, Bitcoin and really promote hope for Bitcoin. And he has an upcoming conversation around Bitcoin. So hope.com, go register especially if you have a corporate identity and you're interested um, in in the in the future of Bitcoin and why, even though there are contrarians that are certainly at the center of this ecosystem, the contrarian belief, we can spend some time tonight really going through and figuring out exactly, why it makes sense, especially since this is a crypto basics room. I'll go ahead and get it started out here. Where two or three are gathered together, we're going to get it started. It's 10 people here. Welcome everybody. Thank you guys for joining. If you're new to the room, let me take a close look. Oh, I see my people in the house. Superstars up in the house. Come give me an autograph, Manny. Nikki, Trill, Fatima, absolutely. I see a couple new names. B. Um, I got some spies in the room. You know, got some
Before
spies.
we get started, I wanted to ask you,
Sure,
are you doing the YouTube live as well?
I am.
If
I
so,
am.
we can follow you.
Sure. Yeah, I certainly I appreciate that. I'm doing the YouTube live, and I'm repping Brooklyn today. Repping the BK Crypto Club. So I got my T-shirt on, and I'm repping the club. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let me.
If you guys want to, I'm following his live as well as here because I think it would be amazing for more people to follow Hope tonight so that people can learn about his book, which is incredible. If you haven't gotten it, you should definitely get a copy.
Thank you
I
so
bought
much.
the book, Hope. I bought it.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. And go, please. Give a review. Check it out. Give me your honest opinion. I can't wait to do version 2 after Bitcoin hits 100,000. I'm gonna do version 2 next year. Next year. Next year. Well, not next year. This year. What am I talking about? Shoot, maybe I should say 200,000 because that's gonna come right around the corner.
I'll take that.
Oh yeah, no, and that's really what we're about to get into. The interesting part about what's happening right now with Bitcoin, and a lot of people don't really, they have short memories. Remember at the beginning of the year of 2021, where Elon Musk, after he done put $3 billion into Bitcoin, this man went and started to spread FUD. You guys remember that from last year? We all lived it through it together. So the crazy part about that was, it went through its cycles. The market, looked at what was going on, and later in the year, it hit another all-time high. So what I'm sharing with you is that these things work in cycles. Repping BK BK tonight. Got the BK Crypto. BK Crypto is a wonderful club in Brooklyn. Thousands of wonderful people really repping crypto in all of its glory. So it was nice to get my T-shirt finally. It's been months, but I finally got my T-shirt. It was a late Christmas present, but I'm happy to have it. But tonight, what I really wanted to do is just kind of really look at where we are, right? So a lot of people don't really understand, why people are so contrarian to market beliefs, in terms of, what's happening. And again, if you do what everybody else is doing, you're going to get what everybody else is getting, right? So, if you really follow what's happening in regards to the patterns, we look at the market, and we know, I mean, the market has been bloody across the board. There's been little bit of rays of sunshine in the market. I mean, traditional gold has been crazy, right? So traditional gold has started to pop a little bit, which is cool. Why? Because if traditional gold pops, then the store of value in digital gold is still very, very valuable. But week over week, as we look at Bitcoin, it's certainly a 13% drop in value. We're at 36, 37,000. Ethereum had a 22% drop. We're at 2,400, 2,500. And Cardano had almost a 29% drop, and we're hovering about $1. So, I just want to walk through the use cases of all three of those tonight. For all the newbies, this is the Trade All Day Club. Hit the house at the top. This is the Crypto Basics room every Tuesday at 7 o'clock. I'm happy that you guys are joining and supporting. The bottom line here is that there's a lot to speak about. So from a basics perspective, let's just review the basics here. Why are people even interested in going in the opposite direction of the market today, right? So you have a market that's going downwards. Why don't you just take your money in terms of cash, hold it, and ride it out? All right. So now I'm not telling anyone um, how to manage your money. This is not financial advice. This is certainly for educational purposes. I'm not going to say entertainment purposes because we're talking about future and we're talking about growth. So this is definitely not entertainment. I don't take this as a joke because I'm thinking about the future of our community, of ourselves, of our households. So don't think that I'm taking it lightly at all. This is serious, serious business. So when we look at stores of value, right? There's a lot of people that look at different market instruments, like even stocks, right? And when you look at stocks, you can look at an example like Amazon. Amazon in its most recent history has had 8 or more drops to less than 50% of value and still is one of the strongest companies today. So when we look at the ebbs and flows of price, especially with an asset as pure as Bitcoin, one thing for you guys to really pay attention to is the fact that the cryptocurrency markets could not be more pure because they're 24/7, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They're open. So people have easy on ramps and easy off ramps to cryptocurrency. And the other thing is that, I mean, there's just a lot of uncertainty. People are just uncertain. You know, Companies are having challenges, but when it comes down to different assets, I'm going to tell you the three assets that I really, really, really will give credit to: real estate, Bitcoin, and traditional gold, right? Why, now real estate, because of what it is, right? It's a real asset, it's a solid asset, it's a hard asset. If you ever had a chance to get exposure to, especially that's all going to be based on location, right? So if you ever had an opportunity to get, prime real estate, I would encourage you to get that exposure, right? When it comes to Bitcoin, we're going to circle back to that, but let me talk gold. In the short run, over the next 3 to 5 years, gold will still be around, even though, there's going to be a lot of questions that are going to shake confidence in gold coming up very, very soon. You guys mark my words. However, because it's physical gold, there's still some intrinsic value about this. In fact, recently, in my communication, I've heard some interesting historical artifacts that are all dipped in gold, right? So even coming through the ages, everyone has this fascination with gold as a way to kind of hold value and hold wealth. It's always been kind of mystical in that kind of way, right? So I'm of course certainly fascinated with it, and real estate and traditional gold were introduced to me by my father, by my parents. So that's the reason why I still have an affinity towards them. Bitcoin is certainly, over the past 10 years, I've just grown more and more confident with that as an apex asset and as not a replacement, but an enhancement to all these other forms of assets. And, there's no other asset. You can't liquidate real estate and carry it in a cryptographically secure method across borders and and still be able to maintain that asset without leveraging the power of the blockchain, the power of cryptocurrency. And that's where I think Bitcoin has a major advantage. And as we're moving towards the end of this year, some folks are projecting, even earlier than the end of this year. They're projecting in spring things are going to start popping. I'm seeing, Bitcoin has certain cycles, and Bitcoin reached its last all-time high of what, 69,000 end of last year. So as the year progresses and as money continues to kind of move from one side of the market to the next, do not be confused. You really have to just kind of understand what's happening. People are trying to take your Bitcoin so that they can hold it and build wealth. So that's the reason why I wrote my book, Don't Buy Beer with Bitcoin, and I'll put the link up in just a minute. But the reason I wrote the book is because I believe it or not, if you go on Reddit and you search for the topic, don't buy beer with Bitcoin or buy beer with Bitcoin, you will actually find people talking about how they go to bars and people are allowing them to scan QR codes and pay for their consumable beers, with Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. And it shocked me when I saw that because, again, when I reflect back in time to even 2010, when people made these same kind of experiments, they would regret it because even a $30 expenditure in 2010 is worth millions of dollars right now. In fact, almost hundreds of millions of dollars, even with the current market prices. So, what I'm sharing with all of you is you should hold on to Bitcoin or leverage it just like you do traditional gold and real estate, because essentially this kind of asset is only going to appreciate because of its scarcity, right? There's only going to be 21 million of them ever created. It's a fungible currency. So because it's fungible and built on blockchain technology, which makes it immutable, meaning the record can't be altered, right? This is a little different than anything that we've ever dealt with before as an asset. It's very desirable to the wealthy. I'm telling you, wealthy folks reach out to me all the time, and they reach out with no hesitation and want to Bitcoin. And here's what I'm sharing with you, and I want you guys to all know this. And this is gonna be a point that I think will be, you know, an outstanding point for you to really consider. Charles Schwab currently is managing $7 trillion worth of investment assets. Let me repeat that. Charles Schwab is managing $7 trillion of their clients' investment assets. They recently posted out there that they are looking for safe ways to get exposure to cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin so that they can give their clients some appreciation. So I'm just giving that as a sample. I'm telling you, in the world, there's over $300 trillion worth of wealth. Well, maybe slightly less after the recent market decline. But so if you think about the hundreds of trillions of dollars that are out there, I'm telling you that they all are trying to get exposure to the Apex asset. And, you know, just like a lot of people took different precious pieces of history, such as precious Picassos, or Van Goghs, all these precious paintings, they took them for granted when the artist was alive, when they could buy it actually from the artist. And when the artist passed on and now they became more rare and precious, you know, the those that have the wealth to acquire them seek to get them, and they will go to auctions to get them. And that's why the connection to NFTs is so interesting, because even today what's happening is that the NFT collections are going to have that same kind of value because they're being supported by an infrastructure of cryptocurrency. So again, the comparisons are very, very exciting. But I'm not going to dominate the stage at this point. If you guys have questions at this point, I'm sure there's questions out there. I see a few people on here. April, how you doing? Kendrick, what's going on, my brother? A lot of good people in here. Ruby, excellent. So the thing about where we are right now, again, I'll repeat, the cryptocurrency market, just looking overall, is $1.7 trillion. It's taken a beating. It's been a bloodbath recently, right? 42% of that is in Bitcoin, and 18% of that is Ethereum. And overall, there's 17,000 cryptocurrencies worldwide. So give me your thoughts, and ask your questions. What do you think about this current market condition? I'm certainly interested, because there's a lot to talk about, but I definitely want to get a feeling for what's on your mind. Absolutely. That's vision right there, and again, you don't have to have a master's degree in economics to kind of see the writings on the wall, right? And if it was just the cryptocurrency markets that were suffering, then it would be one thing, right? And when you see big blue chips losing value and so on, everyone knows what's going on, right? It's certainly a worldwide kind of shakeup. And then on the other hand, you hear that the dollar has gained 7%, and the GDP is doing well, but it's being propped up by this reckless printing of dollar bills, and essentially it's being done in such an unsustainable way. And these are the fundamentals that Bitcoin, as the apex cryptocurrency, is really shining a light on. Yes, if you look at the metrics of the U.S. dollar right now and the U.S. GDP, you're seeing record growth in the GDP, right? You're seeing the value of the dollar appreciating by 7%, but again, it's being infused by reckless printing of currency. So when we look at this, it's an inflationary kind of practice. So, and that's why the cost of us using that same dollar is going to be more. Look at how everything has appreciated. Yes, the dollar has appreciated by 7% and GDP has grown by 6%. But then you try to go get gas, and gas is up, more than 7%. There's a whole bunch of food products that are up more than 7%. So then your dollar actually is buying less, right? So how do you fight this inflationary pressure? And trust me, over the next 5, 10 years, that inflationary pressure is just going to continue to increase, you know? And and again, they know they can't just keep printing dollars. There are a lot of going to be a lot of regulations and regulatory talk over the coming year or two or three. And I think there's going to be hopefully some common sense approaches to addressing the market as it stands. There's no way that they're going to try to wipe out this innovation called cryptocurrency. However, they're going to challenge some major segments of the market. So beware. The segments that will be challenged, of course, will be DeFi. There's probably even going to be regulations around NFTs in some way, shape, or form because, let me share something. And this is something that was pretty exciting. And it might be news to some of you out there, but I want you to kind of hear it from me first. There are different ways that people are using cryptocurrency to buy and sell real estate, which is it's exciting. Meaning, imagine you can get an NFT, and in that NFT you have a video of an apartment that you can use the NFT to sell, and essentially now it allows you, let's say, if you wanted to buy it at a premium, it allows you to have, it's almost like a timeshare holding that NFT. You get what I'm saying? So they're using the NFTs in those kind of ways to kind of allow people to get access to real estate. So there's a lot of innovative ideas, and I think that they're going to clamp down the regulations so that it's clearly going to be leverage for collectibles and art and those kind of things. And some of these other ways that they're going to use NFTs, there's going to be some movement to kind of protect consumers. Watch, that's definitely going to be coming. There's going to be regulations around, the DeFi sector. However, I think it's inevitable that spot ETFs are they're around the corner. They have to come. They have to come. And so let's see, how it all really boils down. I'm excited to see how it really shakes out. And there's going to be winners and losers for sure. But for one thing's for sure is that this market is going to be here, and the only question is, will we have a significant part to play in the market that's developing? I'm still disappointed by the amount of influence that is being, or amount of attention that our community has to cryptocurrency. And when I'm saying that, I'm just looking at the lack of diversity in cryptocurrency today. It really lacks the diversity, and it lacks equity, and it lacks inclusion. Right. So you hear the Michael Saylors, you don't hear the civil rights activists talk about cryptocurrency, and they should. They should. Believe it or not, big governments still have a stake in cryptocurrency. China owns 1% of Bitcoin. The U.S. government has a significant amount of exposure to Bitcoin. So, believe it or not, they all have a stake in these different things. And on other cryptocurrency notes, I think that there's still a wonderful argument about the technology that cryptocurrency is providing. And so Ethereum, I think, in its version 2 will be significant. However, just like all the whales are arguing, it's going to take some time for they really build up this proof of stake algorithm to the point where it's significant enough to really trust it, right? So Ethereum has a ways to go in order for it to really build up the confidence, especially from an investor shareholder value. But there's other models out there that I still think have potential, such as Cardano. I think Cardano has a decent upside, but you need some folks who really know the project and not just talk about it and plan it, right? So anyway, happy to take any questions or concerns or statements at this time, because certainly there's a lot to talk about. I don't want to point the direction.
Okay, I wanted to ask you, if I'm hoping you have some kind of insight on Biden preparing executive order on the cryptocurrency. Do you think this is to do regulation on cryptos, or I mean, what's going on? And does this have a whole lot to do with the market? Because all markets went down at the same time, even metals, which doesn't make sense. I've never seen all markets go down at the same time.
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
Put light on that.
Exactly. So the light that I'm going to share on that is as follows. The sad thing is that um, the sad thing is that there are a lot of people who really don't understand cryptocurrency, right? And because you know a small percentage of the world is involved, there's a need to kind of demystify what's going on. The other thing that we have to be clear about as American citizens, and again, if you're not from America and you're on this call, you're certainly welcome. But our perspective is certainly the American system, so I'm going to respond from that vantage point. In America right now, we are prevented by SEC law, by federal law, from getting involved in the unvetted initial coin offerings. It's almost like the IPO, but for cryptocurrencies. So I think his regulations are going to kind of clarify what we can do and what we can't do, because I still think the waters are a little muddy, right? So because the waters are a little muddy, I think that he has enough real people in his administration that understand cryptocurrency. They're not going to shut down Bitcoin. Why? Bitcoin is actually providing a lot of answers from a sustainable infrastructure perspective nationwide. Texas is going to benefit from Bitcoin big time. And all the major cities and their infrastructures are going to benefit from Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in a number of ways. I think there's big arguments around the decentralized applications and their utility. They're like the modern day check cash in place. So you think about it, which community in America does not have a check cash in place? Now, you know, I, all of the folks on the stage, I think I have a sense of you guys. I don't think you take your check every week to a check cash in place, right? And the last time I've been in line with a check cash in place was, it was probably the 1980s, and and I probably was taking my little paycheck and just trying to figure out what to do with it, because I wasn't bankable at that time, right? I was probably 15, 16 years old, and I was a cashier. One of my first jobs, I was a cashier at Pathmark. I don't know if you guys even know what Pathmark is, but anyway, so um, so I was a cashier at Pathmark, and I would take my little check, and I would go to a check cashing place and get my little cash. And I think at that point we was making what, $3, $4 an hour, right? I'm just going back in time here. It's a little nostalgic when I think about it. But when you think about the decentralized applications are the modern day check cash in place. Meaning, some people, especially you guys saw the recent news. The mayor of New York got his first payment as mayor in cryptocurrency. So let's say he was given Ethereum or Bitcoin, but he really wanted a stable coin. Then he could go to, a decentralized application, swap one for the next, and be fine, right? And then, cold storage and hold it anywhere he's going to hold it. Those decentralized applications really make a lot of sense. And in fact, if used properly, you can use your Nano X or whichever one you want to use, and you can use the decentralized application built right into the ledger, right? One thing that I love to do, and I'm segueing away here for a sec. I'll come right back. I love cold storage, and I love to do it directly to the blockchain, but I love when I can hold even NFTs on cold storage. This is the way to do it, right? So this is the best way, the only way, because I'm telling you, people are trying to steal your cryptocurrency. And if you don't think that this is a thing, watch out. But just to wrap up, I really just think that Biden's whole thing is going to be to clarify what we should be doing, what we have the right to do. And remember, this is America. We also have freedom, right? So we have freedom to, invest in new technology and so on and so forth. We don't have the freedom to, commit crimes. We don't have the freedom to do things that are financially, unfrugal or what someone would say would be nefarious. And a lot of these ICOs are done by people that have bad intentions. They just want to steal money. Some of them are just done by young kids that's just trying to buy their next little Lambo, right? They focused on their Lambos, they focus on their Ferraris. They don't really care about us. So they get your money and they shut down those projects. That's why there's 17,000 of those projects. Those projects, after they're created, they're not deleted. And I think that's something that the whole ecosystem is really going to have to deal with. There's going to have to be some kind of increased governance put into this place. And that's why Binance is really scrutinized so heavily right now. New York State cannot, any residents of New York State cannot um, trade on Binance US, right? And it's because Binance as a company is one of those companies that loves to just they love people to bring money to their platform. And they don't really care if they're doing, things that would be considered credible or not. I think that's the right way to say it. Because if they did, they would spend more time and really allow, more vetting. Just like if someone was going to take a company public, you got to go through a whole bunch of regulatory challenges to say, do you have the proper liquidity? What is the structure? Is your structure, legal? Is it going to protect consumers? Things like that. And again, that doesn't have anything to do with your idea. You might have a completely unique idea. You want to, figure out how to siphon, um, a certain kind of, you know, nitrogen from the air or something like that. You want to start a business to do that, that's fine. If you want to take a public, that's fine. They can't scrutinize what you're trying to do, but they always scrutinize to really see if it meets all the regulatory requirements. I think that cryptocurrencies will need to go through that kind of scrutiny, and people will really need to be educated to understand what they're consuming. Because the funny thing, and I'm going to put the link to my book on the top of the screen now. A lot of people, even my family, right? I dedicated my book to my mom. God bless her. She went back in the hospital. She's in the hospital right now, right in Jamaica Hospital. And and I dedicated the book to her, and she's an avid reader. My mom is an avid reader, right? But my mom started to read. She said, I read the introduction, I read your cover, but when I started reading the book, she has no context. It doesn't matter how much I talk about cryptocurrency. She has no context about cryptocurrency because it's not something that has entered her life, right? I mean, she's 84. I can't change her perspective. It's just going to take time for her to kind of see it creep throughout society. So every time, you know, there's a mention of cryptocurrency on one of her soap operas, all of a sudden she says, "You've been mentioning cryptocurrency for 10 years now." So it's cute when I hear that, and it's just like most things, right? There's going to be a small group of folks who get it. They got it early, and 10, 20 years later, they're essentially in a different place, not only financially, but mentally than all the others. And you guys who are early adopters of cryptocurrency are going to see those benefits, and the benefits are going to be numerous. They'll be financial, but you're going to be able to. It's no different than the adoption of all the different technologies, and we talk about technology all the time in this room, but this is an important innovation, I believe, for mankind. Mankind has never stored their wealth in this kind of way. And the storage of wealth, the storage of assets in this kind of digital form, I think is an innovation that will help our community as long as we have the education on how to leverage it. And that's the reason why I wrote the book. My book is written primarily to promote the accumulation and the building of wealth through the apex asset of Bitcoin, and holding it as a priceless asset, just like a Picasso. And that's why I compare it to a Picasso, because there's only going to be 21 million of them, and a lot of folks don't really get that. But there's almost 19 million of them minted right now, and in the last 2 million coins, I'm telling you, each of these coins is going to a very high value. I don't care what the price is today. And even if it drops, I pray it drops so I can get some more. you know why? Robert Kiyosaki said the same thing. He said, man, he's going to buy the dip soon as he sees, he has his threshold in terms of what he wants more exposure to. And that's what it's all about. It's about really making sure that we do what we have to do in order to plan for the future. Too often our community is left behind. And this is one of those situations where, yes, 10 years have passed, and if you haven't gotten exposure to now, you feel like you're behind, right? But I've been promoting this thing now for a little bit of time, and I remember promoting it when it was 9,000. I remember when 10,000, 15,000, 20,000, 30,000. Now we've seen 69,000, you know, and once it hits those kind of all-time highs, it's only a matter of time, because the easy on ramps and off ramps are the reason why this price fluctuates, right? And it's going to stabilize the more people that come in. So once that base broadens, the smaller investor that has thousands of dollars instead of millions, once that base broadens, then the price fluctuation will continue to lessen over time, because I guarantee you, once you see it hit 200,000, you're gonna have a different feeling about it, knowing that you've seen it from the tens of thousands now to the six figures, and then you already know the future. Now you guys definitely will be able to onboard your family and your friends in ways that will breed confidence. Well, I have that confidence because I've really looked at the good, bad, and the ugly in regards to this thing. And in the beginning, it wasn't all good in the beginning, right? There was a lot of bad. There were a lot of mistakes. There were a lot of bumbles, and that's the reason why it started to just like in stocks, you have stock splits. Well, in crypto, you have what are called forks. So when there's a mistake, when there's an error, when the camps see things different ways, then what happens is the fork happens, and then you'll have Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Gold and Bitcoin, Litecoin, and so all of these different cryptocurrencies started to evolve from Mother Bitcoin, and that's why if Bitcoin um, sneezes, the entire cryptocurrency market catches a cold. So it drives a lot of the value, because a lot of those early cryptocurrencies were all started from Bitcoin in one way, shape, or form. Anyway, I know that was a long answer, but hopefully it made sense.
No, I appreciate it. I appreciate your passion for it. So thank you. You spoke earlier about gold. How your parents taught you about gold and real estate. Do you think that Bitcoin will be backed by gold, or is that not necessary? Or, is it something that's going to be forthcoming as far as having XRP and Bitcoin backed by gold?
So that's an interesting question. And, the answer to that question is that it won't need to be backed by gold, because it's going to be a replacement for gold. so so that's why they call it digital gold, right? They call it digital gold because essentially Bitcoin has the same characteristics of gold, right? There's a limited supply. It's a store of value, but the thing that Bitcoin gets really, really well is the fact that it it's backed by the blockchain. Now, a lot of people um, have tried to play with the backing of a cryptocurrency with gold, right? There was one group, and I followed them closely. I'm not going to say I didn't because it was a fascinating concept. I want to see if my any of my buddies are here. Oh my goodness! Oh, Queen Quinn is in the house. Queen Quinn is in the house. Anyway, absolutely, you in the room. Absolutely. I told you. You know what? It very well may. However, there when we look at the patterns right now, there's a very strong support that is developing, right? And this head and shoulders is really just preparing for it to really rock it. So if it does break 30 again, it will. I'm telling you, there's so many people that are locked and loaded to grab and accumulate. And what I don't know if you heard me earlier when I talked about Charles Schwab. Charles Schwab, as you know, because you are a, a very educated investor, has $7 trillion under management, and they are saying that their clients want exposure to cryptocurrency. Now, again, what keeps people in their corner and with their big money when they're looking at cryptocurrency are all the rules. And we talk about the rules here every Tuesday night, right? You have to have proper storage protocols, you have to do things right. You know, all of those things are what keep people from really investing in cryptocurrency. However, there's no need to be afraid as long as you understand, there are some best practices, there are some technologies, such as cold storage wallets. You can use the nano ledger. Any of the nanos are great. Or you can learn how to do it directly, using very secure computer technology and backing directly to the blockchain. So there's a lot of good practices that exist that will allow you to stay safe. However, the traditional investors, and I've talked to hundreds of them, traditional investors are still scared to death because they really don't understand, right? So they are waiting for spot ETFs, and spot ETFs will directly allow them to grow the market cap of Bitcoin directly. So you're going to see, and again, traditional investors love to take their profit. That's what we're seeing in the market right now. There's no question about it. They want to take their profit. So that's kind of what's happening. Everyone has been waiting, and then all it's going to take is for that sign that if the bull is about to wake up from sleep, and then we're off to the races. Remember, the last all-time high that we hit was late in the year. I think we're going to beat that late in the year, and Bitcoin is going to go on a couple runs this year. And some people are predicting it's going to be before summer. And I'm predicting it'll definitely move before summer, but I'm predicting later in the year. Let's call it October. It's going to go on a tear, and six figures is definitely, and again, a lot needs to, just like Bunny was asking earlier in terms of what is Biden planning. Now, Biden needs to understand that, there's a lot of ecosystems that are being supported by this stuff. And he can't bash it. He can't, he can't just come and throw a sledgehammer into this, because he'll destroy some of the big plans in Texas, some of the big plans in the major cities. Miami is being propped up by cryptocurrency right now. How many ecosystems are being launched in Miami alone, right? And then when we look at what's happening even around the country, there's so much potential. As I said, with the decentralized applications and decentralized organizations, this stuff it has some real promise. I'll tell you what's not going to have real promise is this whole movement by governments to try to do digital coins. Now, the digital coins are gonna be okay, but you guys know who's really pushing this. It's big governments like China, and Russia, because they want to track the flows from their citizens, right? Now, America, when we talk about freedom and liberty, we don't want nobody tracking us. You know?
Exactly, that part.
Yeah, we don't want that. So, you and I know we're not gonna get involved in that. we gonna stay as far away from all this tracking stuff as possible, so we really have to be very, very careful, when we talk about all of these things, and really, be wise, because we know ultimately what governments are trying to do. And America has been good to us, and that's why I don't care where wealth sits around the world. The over $300 trillion of wealth around the world, it looks to America for solutions on how to grow it, right? Because they know, yeah, they got wealth, they got businesses, but man, the markets and the way that America propels markets is second to none. You know, and for what America, for what it's worth, the first world is doing a bang up job in terms of creating that ecosystem. I talked to recently to some folks in Johannesburg, in London, in Germany, in all of Asia, in Europe. I'm telling you, the sentiment couldn't be more stronger, right? And the same sectors that I'm talking about, traditional real estate, physical gold, and Bitcoin, sentiment couldn't be more strong. You know, even all of the major funds, all of the standard bulls, and you would think the bulls are just going to be bulls just because they have heavy investments. No, these are real believers in the vision, and they're contrarian beliefs. So don't we know they're contrarian, meaning everybody, 99% of the folks out there are going to say, "Oh no, just hold your cash," you know, and again, as the blood runs in the streets, that's when real wealth is made. We're talking Rockefeller concepts. You know, Rockefeller concepts are not to bet the way that everybody else is betting. It's to bet against them, and to find when there's weaknesses or what have you, to really take advantage of it. So the weak hands right now are being kind of shook to the side, and that's why I never, when it comes to my own investments, I don't leverage at all. And that's something that I teach with passion. I don't leverage. Why? Because that's what these market fluctuations will do. They're trying to steal your coin. They want to take your over leveraged position and shake you out. So do your best to hold your coin. You know, Definitely don't buy no beer with Bitcoin, and do your best to at least stack your satoshis. If you don't have the ability to buy lots of crypto, especially in the down market, that's fine. Just get exposure as you can. I recommend using like a Swan Bitcoin because they're low fees, and you can say $50 a month or $50 a week or whatever you can afford, and you don't have to worry about the high fees from like the exchanges. And I don't like how the exchanges really treat us. They treat us like we're idiots. We know when they lock up our crypto for 10 days that they're taking our money and investing it. We know that. So we have to do what we have to do in order to pay lower fees, and be able to buy the cryptocurrencies that we want to buy. So that's why I recommend those folks.
Got a question for you, Black Picasso.
Sure.
What is causing the Bitcoin to go down so low?
um and again, a lot of people don't really understand the markets and the way cryptocurrency markets work, right? So you know, we'll break that down because this is definitely a basics room. So to keep it very, very simple, you got to understand cryptocurrency markets operate 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And because of that, imagine a market that is so pure that it's operating all all the time. So people they have easy ways to come in, and easy ways to come out. So when they want to, when they see fear and they think there's going to be a drop, they will pull out. Especially if they bought at the market when it's high. I don't I don't I don't wrong them for doing that. There's some people that hold short and there's some people who really hold long. I have a young man I'm mentoring in Dubai. He's actually in college in Dubai, and he's reading my book. And he said, after he read my book, he said, I didn't understand what this was. That's one of the feedbacks he gave me. He said, I didn't understand that this thing was really an asset, you know. And then when I made all the comparisons for him, it really sunk in. And he's young. He just started. This is his first year in college. He's at one of the he's studying business at one of the universities in Dubai. And once he understood that, then he understood not to buy and sell because that's what he was doing before. He was, and many of these young people, they'll come up with software to, even bots to buy the dips and so on and so forth, which is fine. And remember, internationally, buying and selling those dips, when they buy low, they sell high, they make profit, right? They don't create taxable events like we do here in the States, where we have to have all kind of charitable trusts and so on to really give us some tax relief. Overseas, these guys, they buy and sell and they hide their money on the blockchain and so on and so forth, and they try to avoid paying taxes. That's how they do it in different markets overseas. So I think that's part of what's happening right now is that people are trying to buy and sell. They have the short term mentality and they don't really understand the game, right? So just like the argument will be said, if you bought Amazon at at the inception and you just put 10,000 into Amazon, that would be worth over $20 million today, right? And Amazon has had 8 dips or more that were more than 50% loss of value, but it just kept growing, kept growing. And when you look at all these cryptocurrencies, remember, all of them are not created equal, right? Bitcoin is one that I talk a lot about because there's the fundamentals behind Bitcoin are solid, right? They're super solid. And the goal here is, when you know what Bitcoin is, then you will definitely do what you can to get exposure to it, because a solid asset like that, you have to be able to understand what you're looking at and understand what that value proposition is. So again, I think part of it is the fact that this is an international market 24/7 operating. And then the second part of it is, what's happening in all markets, right? There's fear, there's people who are, really trying to understand, their way forward. And they think that holding their cash is the way to do it. And I'm telling them, or my message to all of you guys right now is that we have to be wiser, right? I'm not telling you don't protect your asset, or if you are appropriately structured, and you can hold your money off to the side and do that, then that's fine. Or if you have someone managing your money, right? As I advise, there's ways for you to get exposure to um, cryptocurrency by leveraging some of your retirement funds, right? You can have self-directed IRAs and get exposure to cryptocurrency. And you can hire someone to manage that for you, and they will manage it appropriately to make sure it keeps growing, right? So if they buy and sell it, that's fine. But just know that you really should do your best to get some exposure, because what we're talking about is certainly growth, and the only way to grow is to really understand and have some strategy about what this is, right? So I'm pinning my book at the top of the room. Certainly invite you to participate if you can. What is this? Why is it saying request? One second. Oh, come on. All right. Yeah, so while I get that, if there's any other questions, I'm happy to take those.
Hey, Black Picasso, where can they get your book from again?
Amazon, absolutely. I put my website to the top of the screen. You can go check out the website and sign up on the mailing list if you want to get notifications and those kind of things. But the links to the book are there. I even have the link to my soon to be launched NFT collection is coming soon. So watch out. Excellent. Oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah. It just says Simply Crypto Inc. Is that That's my company. That's my company that published the book. And if you click on that, it'll take you to the website. Don't buy beer with Bitcoin. It's pretty cute. Okay. And then it has the links to the books. It has the links to the NFT collection that's going to be launched, and so on and so forth. I got my Genesis crypto out there, so price that accordingly, and I want that to sell for $1 billion. No, absolutely. No. Thank you all for your support. And, that's what this is all about. But Nikki just came to the stage. Nikki, what's going on?
Hey, thanks for inviting me in. So I guess my question is, you mentioned earlier that you think it's possible that Bitcoin would go down to 28,000. Do you think it's possible that it would go under that?
Now, here's the thing. I don't think it's going to go much below that at all. And I'll tell you why. The amount of money that is standing it up has really propped it up above the $20,000 range in a very significant way. And I'm talking about the investment from nation states, the increased institutional exposure. So the base has built up significantly, and I don't think it will go much below that at all. And again, I'm not a prophet, so stranger things have happened. But what I'm sharing with you is that all of these low prices, this is just a sale, right? So this is the period of time where everything's on sale, and you have to go and find the assets that have the value and invest accordingly. Now, there are some projects that I still think have value and that are underpriced, and those projects you should do your due diligence and invest accordingly. But Bitcoin, in terms of being investable at this range or even a little lower, I think this is you're not going to you're not going to get single digit Bitcoin ever again. That will never happen. And there might be a black swan event and something might break, and all of us might be sad when that happens, but that'll be a blip. It'll be such a blip. So don't bet on that, because essentially, the big picture is what we should be betting on, and the big picture is that we're talking. This is New York City real estate. That's what this is, and it's so early that as by the end of the year, we're talking another million people being exposed to this asset. So and that's just like the Bill Miller philosophy. As long as that demand continues to increase 1.5 times a year, that's all it takes for this to go to $1 million. So once you're stacking your Satoshis appropriately, you know, let the rest be worked out with time, and make your pillow be soft. Because at least you know that you're putting your money in something that has a really solid footing, right? There's a lot of places to put your money that don't have that kind of solid footing, doesn't have the a limited 21 million cap, such as the American dollar, right? Even though it's doing well now, the GDP is doing well, this is a house of cards, and we know that we have to build our community's wealth with more than just a house of cards. We have to do our best to build assets. I encourage you to grab real estate. I encourage you to get precious metals if you can. In the short term, silver and gold are great, and they will appreciate because the use case is there, at least for the next few years. And definitely the apex asset of Bitcoin. The other cryptocurrencies, venture in those lands at your own risk. And I can talk with you, anyone in this room, about anything that they specifically are interested in. There's some value out there, right? And the long-term prospects are going to be amazing. But especially with Biden's legislation around the corner and what he's about to do, I'm telling you, I think he's going to divide the road. He's going to say, these are the weeds, and this is the wheat. So if you guys want to be safe, you come over here. And he's going to break it down and show what Americans should be exposed to and what they should stay away from, and how they're going to create laws and systems and task force to really crack down on the bad stuff and hopefully support more of the good stuff, because America will be better to be that cryptocurrency. Again, we don't want regulation because it's fully decentralized. We just want where it crosses that line to be just a technology that's decentralized, for someone to step in and say, you can't rob people like that. And I think that's necessary. I think that's long overdue, and no other country in the world is doing it, because some of these countries are actually participating. So anyway, hopefully that answered your question, Nikki.
It did. I have a second one if you have time.
Of course, I'll make time.
Okay, so this one is not a Bitcoin question, so I hope it's okay. It's about time. So I did what you said, and it did work, but now I don't know how to buy more of it with the sushi swap. So I want to know, did you make a video about that?
I made a video. My second video talked about that whole conversion. And here's how you buy more if you want more exposure, right? Essentially, what you're going to do directly is you're going to use AVAX, and it's certainly really, really, really cheap now. So now's the time to grab as much of that as you can. And then you're going to do the conversion to wrapped memos. And then here's a second little tip that I'm just going to throw out there. And I should do a video about this one too, because there's a way for you to double down with the wrap memos, because you can stake the wrap memos, or essentially, borrow MEMS and then flip them back into wrapped memos. And all I'm saying to you is that without leverage, you can have double exposure from the same asset using that. Even in this depressed market, now's this time to set yourself up so that the rest of the year is going to be a big win. So if you have the opportunity to get some exposure, it makes sense, especially with Daniel Siesta. And again, I just like his movements. This is the gentleman, Italian entrepreneur, visionary. He's, in my opinion, on an Elon Musk kind of level in terms of his vision of this industry. And I think he's going to be able to. He's similar to Richard Hart from Hex, right? Who is big on vision. And I think where he's taking it in years to come, we're going to look back at even all of this market crashing and really see that there was some really major opportunity. So I'm still staked. I'm still grabbing more wrapped memo. And you can reach out to me on the back channel, of course, if you have any questions about that. Of course. So without any further ado, good people, it's been a pleasure to be with all of you guys here now. I have I got invited to a couple podcasts, so I'm going to start some of that very soon. And I'm hoping to get my press release and all of that out here really soon. So I'm going to be spreading that message of diversity, equity, and inclusion. So pray for me because you know how these folks get.
Pray for your mom too.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, definitely. Prayers for mom.
Thank you. Trust me. Last week, I thought I was gonna have to donate a kidney, man. It was mom was on the ropes last week, but God pulled her through. And every day she's improving. She should be out of the hospital by the end of the week. And so thank you. God bless all of you. And have a wonderful, wonderful night. I'll talk to you guys all next Tuesday. If you need anything, certainly reach out. I'm here.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Take care.